I'm not sure who I'll attach this to. Probably Patterns in Chaos, because I saw his reply, and then I saw Matt's video, and then I went and read a version of Aphorism 39. I want to read another translation too, just because this was a free one on the internet. I don't really know this translator, but it's very interesting. I think this aphorism, first of all, I think the point of the aphorism is not really so much about will. I know from other aphorisms that Nietzsche did believe in, that there was a will and that there was a distinction between strong and weak will, so there was some activity of the will. And I think this aphorism is about the fact that it's about the process where we judge people as if we're judging the essence of a person, when really all we're doing is judging that their actions were a detriment to us. Okay, and I think that's what he's going through here, is the anatomy of that kind of error. And it's a good point. I mean, there's some pretty evil people in the world that have done things which in themselves are not evil. I mean, so the idea that a person is evil and their essence is evil sort of implies that everything they would do would be evil in some way. And the fact is that we really are judging that their actions were a detriment more than the essence of their character. And another thing I wanted to say is to Patterns in Chaos, who said my comment that there isn't a free will or an unfree will, which is a quote from Nietzsche or an idea of Nietzsche's, didn't make sense. It does make sense, because the point there is that there's strong and weak wills, is saying there's relativity in will. There's strong and weak wills, but there's no will that's totally free. That doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't make sense just in the same way that I could say this smooth table over here is not really smooth. This smooth table is not actually smooth. How could I do that? Well, because on an atomic level, nothing's actually smooth. Everything is, there's not even continuity in that surface. There's separate atoms involved. And even at the level where you still see the atoms as a single continuous structure, if you look close enough, it won't be perfectly smooth. But it's relatively smooth still. That table is more smooth than, say, some rock slab. And so it does make sense to say there's no free will or unfree will, only strong or weak, because we're just saying that the term free, nothing's absolutely free. So as a qualifier, anything with free is problematic. Now, we use things like free will or freedom of speech or these sorts of things as names for a certain set of beliefs which are not absolutely free. I mean, we can't just say anything. We're limited to the languages we know. We're limited to the sounds we can make and so forth. There's going to be certain limits. But I'm going to think about this aphorism more, because he does say some things in there that are interesting. I mean, if he does not mean to restrict the will to an unfree state, to a determinist state, which I'm pretty certain he does not in general, then it does require some explanation why he is saying that, that deeds have to take place of necessity. I mean, it would imply that we have to look into what the word necessity means to Nietzsche. I mean, it's not necessarily obvious. We can't assume that it's a deterministic necessity, because you can say it's a necessity that I get water to survive, and this is behind some of my behavior, but it doesn't actually mean I will get the water to survive. So necessity has some flexibility in what he might mean by that. And yet, it's a pretty good thing to draw from this, that it's a critique on will being unfree. And I know he didn't think that will could be unfree, so I think we're seeing something different here, and I'm interested in the detail. But again, the big picture, I think, is that he's talking about the way we end up judging a man as if judging his essence, assigning an essence to him, and that's not really what's going on in that case. That what's really going on is we've judged his actions to be a detriment to us. So